people were like, if you do this, you're ruining your ministry. Like you'll never be able to come back. Like if you jump onto this United Methodist Church ministry,
like you're leaving the tribe. You're not going to get back
ruining
in
your life.
Our tribe.
Wow. You will never. And so I remember sitting out on our back deck at night in the chairs, and we just were like, it is the two of us against the world.
Yeah.
Like the whole world is against us. That's what it felt like.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the LeadingSmart Podcast. This is season 2, all about 40 lessons in 40 years with Tim Stevens. I'm Holly Tate, your host, and today we have a wonderful guest, Faith Stevens, the one and only Tim's better half.
Absolutely.
Faith, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to interview you guys. I've been looking forward to this for a while. It's such an honor when Tim was like, hey, can you interview me and Faith? I'm like, of course.
Are you going to grill us? Give us really hard questions?
Yes, such hard questions. But you guys have been married for 35 years. So 35 of the 40 years that we've been talking about in this season, you guys have been married for.
Yep.
So we're going to unpack that together today. I've got like a few, probably about 5 different kind of categories here. And then I also sourced some questions from LinkedIn. I posted on there and said, hey, ministry folks, if you've got questions for Tim and Faith, let me know. And we got some good ones.
That's great.
And then we're going to wrap up today with a little fun Newlywed Game.
Oh, no.
Yeah, get ready for that. Okay, so Faith, the first one's for you. Tell us how you've met. Because actually, Tim told this story, I believe it was in episode 1.
Yep.
If I'm remembering correctly. So we'd already kind of heard his side.
Hey.
So we'd love to hear.
So see if our stories
I told
match.
the truth.
Yeah, see if they match. So how did you and Tim first meet?
So after I went to Bible college, actually with Tim's sister, his older sister. And after college, I went to a ministry called Life Action Ministries as a singer. And his sister, unbeknownst to me, told him, this girl that I know from college is coming to, where you are. And you need to meet her because she's just a nice girl. So
she said more than that.
Okay, well, I wasn't there for that. This is your story. So I traveled all that summer with my little gospel team from Bible college, and then they dropped me off at the camp where Tim was, and he met me at the van. He was the first person I met there, and he was like,
Tracks, doesn't it?
"Let me,
so far, so
take
good.
your suitcase, and I'll show you, where I'll show you around the place and take you to your cabin and all that stuff." He was very kind and helpful, and introduced me to everybody. And so that is how I met. And I had no idea of the whole backstory of that. I just was like, oh, this is very nice.
Were you like interested from the first meeting? Were you like, oh, hi?
I was not, only because I had just come off of a really rough relationship at college, and I was like, I'm done with men.
Yeah.
Forever. Like, I'm going to be single my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my moving into that was like, I'm done. So I wasn't even, it wasn't even on the radar for me.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with just how kind, and I thought he had a nice smile, and he was very friendly, but I wasn't looking for anything.
And great hair at the time is what I hear.
Yes, he had great hair. Yes. Thick and wavy.
It was receding on the front.
No, it wasn't. Not when I met you.
Okay, so this is interesting because I've known this for a really long time that's how you guys met, but I've never heard the part about how you were like coming off of a really bad relationship and you were like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So when did that change for you that you were interested in Tim?
So it's kind of funny because we hung out. He was just my relationship with him was he just was super comfortable to be around. Like I felt like I could be myself. I could be like no makeup, act weird, do stupid things. And I just felt very, very comfortable with him. So that's that whole summer. And then we decided to write letters. This was back in the day. There was no phones. If we did call, it was like,
phones. It was just expensive.
Well, yeah.
Not,
you know what I mean?
Cell phones.
Not cell phones, not cell phones. Yeah. So we wrote letters back and forth, actually paper with stamps, those real letters.
But like, was that intended to be like a romantic thing?
No.
Really?
We just were friends.
Oh, so Tim is saying yes. For those who are just listening, Tim is absolutely nodding his head, and Faith is adamantly shaking her head.
Yeah. No.
I was not sending letters to any other girls.
Yeah. But this was like a common thing where you would write letters to friends? Because like in my head, that's like either your bestie girlfriends or someone you're interested
Guys would not send the right letters to any guy friends or anyone but a friend that they wanted to nurture a romantic relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that wasn't my perspective. I just really appreciated his friendship and was like, let's stay in touch or whatever. So, But
Didn't I send you flowers at one point and your friends were like, you're like, oh, look, my friend sent me flowers. And they were.
Yeah, they tried to make more of it. And I was like, no, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And then at some point later that year, like I remember we were on different traveling teams and our teams were getting together. And I remember knowing that they were coming and I had butterflies.
Oh.
That was my first cue. I was like, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm kind of nervous that we're going to like
hang out,
see each other in person. So that was my first clue of like, oh, this is changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how many months or years into, like after you guys met was that, or into your friendship, I guess?
Was that, oh gosh, we met in 88 and we got engaged. We got married in 90, June of 90. And we got engaged in November.
Probably within
before
the first
that.
6 to 10 months. That's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had butterflies, and you guys, so you saw him again, and then
then what? Like when I saw him?
Well, you had butterflies, so you were like, "This is my first cue. I'm feeling nervous."
Yeah,
what led to you being like, "All right, let's date," or like?
I don't know that did we have a let's date conversation?
No, not necessarily.
Back then, it was called like going steady.
Yeah.
Going steady.
I think we just got more personal in our letters and like.
Yeah.
I think there was that's funny. I don't actually.
I have 2 stories I can tell you.
Okay.
You want to hear them?
No. Oh, no.
Always.
Please don't tell these stories. These are so bad.
I can't wait.
What I'm gonna say?
I do know what you're going to say.
I have 3 stories. So one was when I told her that I felt like, she was the one. This is before I told her I loved her. But I just
really?
I just felt like, I felt like we should be together, we should date and whatever. And she said, well, you're not my knight in shining armor that I always imagined I would marry. And yes, she's shaking her head no, but that's exactly what she said. Because it's etched in the corners of my
scarred. He's scarred.
35 years later,
worst parts of my heart.
I know.
But what she meant was, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like she thought she'd marry a youth pastor, like a student pastor. She went to school to study for that. She thought she'd marry a student pastor. I was like, I'll be in ministry. I'm not going to be a student pastor. And so I think that was a part of it. Did I get that one right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Second story, like a few months after that, our teams were together and we were together for a few days, and I told her that I loved her, and she said, okay.
Didn't I say thank you?
No, she said,
I did the same thing to Elliot.
Thank you.
That's so funny.
Because I wasn't ready to say I love you, and I wasn't going to just say it just because you did. I'm like, I love that you love me, but I'm not ready to say that yet. So I was like, thank you.
Yeah,
and it was really awkward.
I respect that. It was awkward, but I respect that you wanted to receive it and then be intentional about when you said to him. How did that feel on your side, Tim?
Not unexpected, because she had told me that very clearly she wasn't going to say it till she meant it, till she was ready and whatever. So I knew it was a risk when I said it, but
you were ready.
It was a calculated risk.
Okay, what's the third story?
Third story is about our engagement. So this will take a little bit of unpacking, but we were working for this organization led by a leader. The leader got cancer, brain tumor, and it looked like was going to die. And so teams were getting shuffled around. She was on one team, I was in another. Our teams came together. We're doing prayer kind of efforts and initiatives and whatever. I think we were in St. Louis. And so I thought, our teams are coming together. I'm going to ask her to marry me. Like, I'm ready. By then she's told me she loves me. We know we're going to spend our lives together. I've talked to her dad and mom.
Which I did not know.
She doesn't know, but I've talked to them, gotten their blessing. And so I bought these gifts, and I had this whole creative thing. And there's a friend girlfriend of hers that was helping me kind of figure things out. And we're going to meet here, and I'm going to pick her up, and I'm going to ask her at the end of the night. And so pick her up in the car. And I said, I have something to tell you. And she says, or something like that. And she says, well, I have something to tell you. And I said, well, you go first. She says, God has told me that I need to fast from you.
True story.
The God card. True story. You pulled it, Faith.
Yep.
Because the organization had said, hey, our leader's going to die. Like, let's everyone give something up in a season of prayer, basically.
Oh,
so she decided to give freaking me up. And I gave up chocolate or something. I don't know what I gave up. Something I didn't even like.
Because I felt like if I'm going to really be serious about this needs to be something that is super important to me. And he was very important to me. And our relationship was like, I spent a lot of time writing letters, reading his letters. Like, he was very important to me. But I was like, if I'm going to pray about a man's life, right? This is serious, and I need to be serious about it. And so I'm going to take that distraction that means so much to me, and I'm going to offer that to God as a sacrifice.
Wow.
Not forever, but for a time. And so that was my coming into it, was like, I'm going to fast from you.
So I had the ring in my pocket.
How did you respond, Tim?
And she tells me that, and I said, okay. And so I didn't tell her I had the ring in my pocket. We finished our date night, and we didn't talk or see each other for about 30 days, as I recall. And this leader died.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when she felt like the fast could be broken, and it was Thanksgiving. And so I invited her to I was going home for Thanksgiving in Chicago suburbs. And she came with me, and I asked her there.
Wow.
Yep.
So
we actually got engaged in Naperville.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And now that's where you guys are
And
now.
now
How far do you live from Naperville now?
Like an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's neat. I didn't realize that. Wow. Those are 3 really good stories. Anything you want to correct from Tim's side of
No,
the
he
story,
was
Faith?
pretty accurate. Yeah. Pretty accurate.
The pattern in all of that I appreciate is the intentionality that you both had in your dating relationship. Like, for both of you, it's clear. And that, I think, just knowing you has continued in what we're going to unpack today, of like your intentionality throughout your marriage and in parenting. So ministry has always been a part of y'all's story. You met through ministry. Then you spent, I think we unpacked in our episode 1, y'all were at Life Action for 7 years together. Once you got married, y'all were on the same team, obviously, right? They put you on the same team?
A little bit.
Once we got married, when we got engaged, they put us on the same team. And then once we were married, we came off the road, and we went back to the home office in Niles, Michigan. And I worked in the office. She was stay at home.
Yep.
And
I would help out. I would volunteer, like, in the offices if there was, things I could come help. I think back then we had one car. We shared a car, and our apartment was a little bit of a drive. So if I was going to work at the home office, I would go in with Tim, hang out and do things. But yeah.
Well, one thing that is common in your relationship and in ministry is you guys have made pretty significant moves in your both ministry and physically. What was the hardest move? Well, so let's recap them first together.
Okay.
So we had Life Action, which was Michigan, which was traveling all over, and then Michigan.
Yep.
Then we had Granger, which was Indiana.
Yep. Which was 15 minutes from where we were living in Michigan.
Okay, so that one that was a ministry move, but not like a physical move.
We stayed there in the house in Michigan for a couple years, and then moved over towards into Granger.
Okay, so then that was for 20 years, and then the big one came, which was from Indiana to Texas. And then from Texas back to Chicago after 6 years, back to Chicago, where you've now been for 4 or 5.
We've been.
This will be 5 years.
A
little over 5 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll ask you first, Faith. What was the hardest move in those transitions so far?
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to surprise Tim with this.
No, you will not.
I will not. I think honestly, the hardest move, the hardest move when it was happening was actually going to Granger.
That surprised me.
That surprises me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we were.
Who are you?
Because
What'd you do with my wife?
After 35 years.
Let me unpack this. So because we were part of Life Action, and we grew up, he mentioned, Baptist was that was my background, that was his background, very, very strict. So we decided to go to a church that was United Methodist. Well, Baptist United Methodist, that's a pretty huge. So I remember sitting on our back deck in Granger, or
Niles.
we were, in Niles, you're right. And my parents didn't want us to go. His parents didn't want us to go. Our ministry leader at the place we were, he said no. People were like, if you do this, you're ruining your ministry. Like, you'll never be able to come back into
Life Action.
to like Baptist, like to that.
Got
like
it.
whatever. Like, if you jump onto this United Methodist Church ministry,
Like you're leaving the tribe. You're not going to get back
ruining
in
your
our
life.
tribe.
Wow.
You will never. And so I remember sitting out on our back deck at night in the chairs, and we just were like, it is the two of us against the world.
Yeah.
Like, the whole world is against us. That's what it felt like.
Yep.
Were you guys
That
united
was
in
so
this
hard.
decision?
Oh, we were 100% united. We were like, this is the right thing to do. This is where God's leading us. This move is going to breathe life into our souls. Like it was just because Granger was such a small ministry back then. I mean, they didn't have any kind of building.
Little tiny church.
It was a little tiny, and it was like, but there was so much fire there, and like love for God, and prayer was it was just such a incredible move that was happening. We wanted to be a part of that. You know, we didn't want to just play church or like do, status quo or whatever. So that was a really, really hard move. I know you're thinking Texas, but Texas was not hard. When we made that decision,
For those of you who are not watching this, but you're just listening,
Tim's rolling his eyes.
Tim's face. Well, it was like a shock face that he just made when she said
She just
Texas.
said Texas was not hard.
Yeah.
When we moved, I was 100% like I was ready to go. We were doing that together. Remember?
Oh yeah.
So
the decision was
moving-
not hard.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The decision was not hard.
The first 2 years of being there was the hardest in our whole marriage.
Yes, that is 100% true.
And were you surprised by that faith? That those 2 years?
100%.
Okay, so what was the difference between knowing this is the right decision and the right move and the reality of how difficult it was?
I think I did not expect. I thought I was prepared for that. I knew it was like this is going to be a big change, a new culture, but I was kind of up for it. I was kind of like looking forward to like, just Southern hospitality and like I was looking forward to all that. What I didn't realize was how deeply my who I was entwined with Granger being a pastor's wife. We moved to Texas. I was no longer a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
I was on my own. He had a thing. I was not part of it.
Yeah.
We also Granger. We raised our kids there. Like our oldest 3 were now out of the house, college or jobs or whatever. We took our youngest with us, but I was kind of saying goodbye to those like mom years, kind of. I mean, TK, our youngest, was still there, but he was heading into high school and didn't really need me.
Yeah.
I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. I need to be needed. I need to feel like I have a purpose. Like I'm like, that's just important to my core.
Yes.
I think we had a little dog that went with us. He died unexpectedly within the first 2 years we were in Texas. So he got sick. And I mean, there was just I turned 50 in Texas by myself, none of my friends. There were so many things that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And when we got there, it all happened. I thought, another thing, when we were in Granger, I had like jobs and different things that I volunteered for. I had my Bible study group of ladies that I hung out with, like all those things. I got to Texas and I was like, I don't have a job. My kids don't need me. I'm in this house like, what am I going to do? Like, where do I belong? That's what I think. I think I just had to figure out who I was and where I fit.
It makes total sense.
It took such a long time.
Yeah, but that makes total sense, especially because Tim had that.
He
like
did.
It was like our
From the
team at
beginning.
Vanderbloemen
From day one.
was so tight, and he had full autonomy to like build his team. And the other thing was you guys were married long distance for the first
year. Yeah.
9 months.
So that, I mean, that must have been really hard.
That I expected to be hard. It wasn't as hard because I got to fly down and see him. He would come home for the weekends. Plus, I was still in my comfort zone. I was still with my friends, with my church. I was still where I was comfortable. So even though I didn't like being apart, it wasn't as hard as I had thought it would be. But then going to Texas, I think I was fine for the first few months that we were there, and then it was like, I don't know where I belong here, and it was hard. But I ended up finding a little elementary school that needed some help, and I got to help with some kiddos that had special needs, and I found my team and my people, and once I was kind of plugged into that, then it just made a world of difference.
Yeah, right? And you started working at. Did you start working at Starbucks in Texas as well?
No, I didn't.
No, that was
okay.
Nope. I couldn't remember when that started.
Broadway Elementary in
That's awesome. I remember
Texas.
that. They were so lucky to have you.
It was best. It was wonderful. It really that transition kind of saved me because I was really floundering before I found that group. But then once you're with a team that values you and feels like they need you, and like it made a difference.
Okay, so Tim, I want to hear about this from your perspective, because this story, I know for people who are listening, is not uncommon, whether it is the husband or the wife, but one is thriving, is just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. And the other is, you use the word floundering.
Yeah.
And so from your perspective, what was that journey like in those first couple of years of having the person you love the most in the whole wide world not thriving, and you feeling like, oh man, I really feel like I belong. I feel like I found my place. So what was that like from your perspective?
Yeah, no, we had a lot of intense conversations about it. It was because it felt like, and in hindsight, I think we both agree, we made the decision together. But then in the moment, it felt like I had, taken her to hell and locked her hands up, And so it felt, I felt the weight of that, or I don't know if guilt's probably too strong of a word, but plus then, I was, learning a new job and traveling. I was on the road 2 to 3 nights a week.
Which was also new.
That's right. That's another massive
we had never
variable of the equation.
He had never traveled really. He would go away for like conferences for like a few days at a time, or potentially a week, but not like this. This was a lot.
Lots.
It felt like a lot. It was like I said,
no,
2 to
it
3
was
nights,
for a week,
but it was consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. It was 2 to 3 nights a week, right?
2 to 3 nights a week, and a new church, and we chose a church, I think, and rightfully so, for our son. But that church ended up being 25, maybe 30 minutes away, so it was harder for her to get plugged in.
Yeah.
There weren't any groups near us, or it's, hard to volunteer, that kind of stuff. So it made it even harder to connect. But yeah, I mean, that was a super tough season, and then you're trying to learn a new job and believing that you're where you're supposed to be, but also, and I think that's, led her and I to like, you've got to get a job, because sitting at home kind of thinking about what you don't love about being here is not going to help you thrive long term, and you need to find your people.
So I want to talk about the transition from Vanderbiltman to Willow, and then migrate into like what you guys have learned about communication through big transitions. So let's put a pin in the Vanderbiltman or Texas one, and then making the decision to move from Texas back to Chicago. Faith, were you like from day one, like, yes, finally, get me out of here? Or like, how did those conversations go? And Tim did allude to this in another episode. I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was in episode 1. Yeah, again, where he was feeling that calling and kind of told you, and you were like, are you thinking about going back into ministry? And he was like, yeah, heck no. And anyways, so yeah, you kind of being on the other side of that, what was that like, of being like, oh my gosh, we might have another move in front of us?
Yeah. So that was, again, I was like, not totally. I was dragging my feet a little bit on that again, because, okay, so this is like COVID just happened, right?
Yes.
It was 2020. I'm working for this little school. I finally feel like I've had my place.
Yeah.
Our son has just decided this year to go to Baylor University, which is a 3-hour drive. He's in theater. I'm anticipating going to visit him to see him do his productions. I'm looking forward to that, like being a part of his college career. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, we might move to Chicago. Like, I'm not going to get to see any of TK's, like, I'm going to move away when he's just starting his college career and all of this. And I'm finally feeling like, I fit here and I found my people. And also, the kiddos that I got to help at that elementary school, when we left for spring break, we nenever went back. So in March, we never.
Wow.
So I'm like, I can't even say goodbye.
Yeah.
I can't say goodbye to my friends. I can't say goodbye to because that move happened pretty quickly once we.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the fastest job decision we have ever made in our lives.
Absolutely.
And it was like, we have to make this decision now. And I just felt like, wait, I'm not ready.
Yeah,
like,
even though you spent like 2 years
yes.
in the beginning trying to find a place of belonging.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, yeah.
So I had completely turned around. Also in my mind, because that year was TK's freshman year, I thought I had 3 more years. So I kept saying, I said that so many, I'm like, I thought I had 3 more years. Like I'm not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
So again, that was hard, even though I was like, yes, I want to go back to the Midwest. That definitely is home. I want to go there eventually. I was like, can we go 3 years from now?
Yeah.
Can we finish this out? But yeah, we ended up, I mean, I think it all ended up being good. We, settled. I don't know if this is part of the question, or if I'm talking too much, but
You're doing great.
the neighborhood we found, like the being part of Willow, like there was a lot of that that's been really, like we love our neighbors. Our neighborhood where we landed is just phenomenal. And I feel so at home, and we're close to our kids, close to his family. Like it's been such a good, we love Chicago. So it's been such a good, thing to come back to.
Yeah.
But it was again hard for that transition because, he had said, I'm never going to work for a church again.
Yep.
I'm never going to go back to the snow. Like all the things. It's like, we're doing both of those.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so let's talk about communication through marriage and these two massive. And what's also interesting is that those happened. Well, you said life action to Granger was actually the hardest from like a spiritual and emotional perspective, it sounds like. But you were super united during that time. Whereas the other two was like, whoa, a big physical move that changes everything. So what have you learned? Tell those of us who are, I'm 11 years into my marriage journey, I think.
We'll ask.
I always forget if it's 11 or 12 or 13. Anyway, what have you learned about communication through those really
specifically in transitions? Is that what you're talking about?
Or in ministry, and I think like obviously the context of ministry transitions.
Yeah.
You should go first on this.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are, I mean, I think we were united on all, 4 decisions through our 35 years of marriage, 4 times that we moved. I think we were united. It was the right decision. Going to Texas, in my opinion, was like definitely the hardest post decision, And coming to Chicago, like I told multiple people after we'd been to Chicago, even before we moved into our house, we were still in an apartment, that like I felt like she was in a better place like after 6 weeks in Chicago than 6 years in Texas.
That's probably true.
It's like she tells people that she's a Midwest girl, even though she grew up on the West Coast. But it feels like home for her, and I hate to admit it, but it feels like home for me too. Don't quote me on that. Even though I'd rather not shovel snow.
Yes.
But there's just so much that's comfortable and known, and it's just central, and now it's central to our kids. And so I'm probably destined to a life of shoveling until the day I die, unless I can just, pay someone to do it. But I think communication-wise, I guess, being unified in the decision itself was super important. But then we both underestimated the identity shift especially for her, but for both of us a little bit in that first move to Texas.
How do you, speaking of like communication, how do you get to unity in a decision? Like for you guys, is it just like you kind of talk about it and it's like, hey, if we agree, cool. If we disagree, what do you do?
I tell her what to think. I mean,
oh my gosh.
We grew up Baptist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she like submits.
We love that word.
Submit.
We love that word.
That's, we got that on plaques in our walls.
Oh my gosh. This is Tim's dry sense of humor for anyone that is listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think we talk about it a lot. You're good at asking questions. We, going to Texas, we did visits down there. I'm very much a part of that decision. It's not like he's just, oh, this is my next job, you're coming along. It's not that at all. It's very much like talking about it, processing, going to visit, looking at the neighborhoods, like before we ever decided, like we're scouting everything out. We're, talking to the kids. It was funny when we told our kids we were moving to Texas, our third child, Hunter, said, well, you guys can move, but I'm staying here. It's because he was going into his senior year. And he was not that was not his personality up until that point, but he was like, you're not taking me away on going into my senior year of high school. I'm not leaving. Like, you guys can go, but I'm staying here. We're like, whoa, okay. But no, I just feel like we just have lots of conversations. You let me ask lots of questions. We explore. And then I think for me personally, after we have those things, for me, it's just, just my communication with God, just my prayer time. I'm very moved by music, and I feel like anytime we've been through transitions or I have to make decisions, I feel like music speaks to me in different powerful ways. And I'll hear a song that talks about, like I remember for the Texas one, there was specifically a song about like how, you're comfortable, something about, I'm not going to remember the words of it, something about.
Was it the Flippy Flap song?
No, it wasn't the Flippy Flap. Like, it was about going out on a ledge, going out and like on a, on a ledge and taking a chance and risking not staying in your comfort zone kind of thing. And, but yeah.
She's slow to change.
Yes.
And so I think
That's
a key
true.
for us has been like, I'm not coming home and we're making a decision. It's like, we're having lots of conversation about it and she needs space to emote or
Process.
use feeling words and, just like verbally grieve. Because any change includes loss. And so every change has some degree of grieving. And then I just pull out a spreadsheet and show it to her, and then she's fine.
Right? Oh, wouldn't that be nice if it
spreadsheet
worked that way? A
fixes
spreadsheet for
everything, right?
everything. Yeah.
No, but there is a little bit of like, like I remember coming back up to Chicago, we had lots of airline miles, like hundreds of thousands. It's like, you can go to any of TK's shows that you want to go to.
Just
So
like
it's like
removing
things
those
like
obstacles.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
using your view of the world, which is very logical and like numbers and data to help try to solve some of the more emotions that she's feeling. Of
Yeah.
how do we remove some of those obstacles?
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's migrate. That's actually a good transition to what I wanted to talk to you guys about with like your self-proclaimed introverted and extroverted personalities and how that has shaped both your relationship or what your relationship and ministry looks like. So I'm curious to hear, because Faith being a self-proclaimed extrovert and Tim being a self-proclaimed introvert, the kind of opposite personality types, how has that worked and how has that caused some friction in your marriage and ministry?
I think in some ways we've actually changed roles as we've gotten.
Yeah. We were just
So-
recently talking about this.
Yeah. So I have a switch. So I can turn on, I can flip the switch and just engage relationally. And it's not always comfortable, especially if they're not my people, if they're strangers kind of thing, it's not always comfortable. But in my job, like I'm going into, places every week with strangers that are new people I'm working with. And so I can turn that off and I have to like manage my energy because I get super exhausted by it and then I need some time to recover. But now it's like, I just know that I build it into the calendar and you figure that out. But it's been interesting early in our marriage, like anything that we were doing socially with other people was absolutely 100% initiated by her. And I would begrudgingly go along. And now it's interesting, probably more often than not, anything we do socially with others, I've probably initiated. But it's one of two reasons, one of two groups. It's either within a very small circle of close friends. So our neighbors next to us are Mario and Katie, Dave and Rachel. I mean, we got like a small group, and like for me, that does not require energy to hang out with those people. So I actually, I highly value that. Or it's something strategic, like we're going to do something socially because it's strategic, because I really want to nurture that relationship because it's going to help me in my business or this or that,
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Faith?
Yeah.
How has your personality dynamics worked together as a team or caused tension over the years? Or ebbed and
I think
flowed?
it's been, I mean, I think when I have in the past, like in the early years of our marriage, when I would spring something on him at the last minute, that doesn't go over real well. Like to be like, oh, so-and-so is coming over tonight or for dinner and without like that he needs like a warning, like, or we're going to go do this together. Like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because if I didn't plan
That doesn't work well.
energy, didn't plan conserve my energy for that thing, it's really hard to pivot.
Yeah. But I think we've learned, or I've learned, he has been all about like, go hang with your girlfriends or go do things, because he realizes the more I can do that, meets that need of like, I need to be with people.
Yeah, it gives you
And
energy.
then when I come home, then I'm like happy to, just be at home or whatever. Even when the kids were little, and so like babies, you know, I'm home more. I did babysitting in our home for a while, and so I just needed to get out of the house and like go talk to adults, like have real conversation with people. And so he always was very supportive of that. And then like I love to sing. Music is important to me. I was on the worship team at Granger almost the whole time we were there. So that was fun too, to like be with people, be able to sing, be, you know, gone for a weekend every couple weeks.
Yeah.
Not gone, but like, you know, we did a Saturday night service and a Sunday morning service. So I would like, anyway, all of that just was helpful to me and helped to balance out. So he didn't feel like he had to be my extrovert person all the time. I think, would you say?
Yeah. And I think like you learn as you go along, like, I think early on, you're just in a marriage, you're thinking like, I'm going to meet all your needs. You're going to meet all my needs.
Right.
True.
And then I think we were like, I learned pretty quickly. I don't have it in me. I can't meet her needs to verbally process. Like I just don't, I can't.
You don't like verbally processing, Tim?
I have it for a while. I can turn the switch on for a while.
Yeah. No, I'm just trolling you. You do a great job of, from someone who's your business associate who loves to verbally process and a
Yes.
wife who loves
Yeah.
to verbally
Yeah.
process. You have definitely tolerate us well.
We learned early on, like we need her to have some really good girlfriends.
Yeah. And I
Like,
can talk about all the things.
She's better when she has girlfriends, and I'm better when she has girlfriends.
Yeah. Yep.
And that way, you know, there's not so much that she needs that I just don't have.
Yeah.
At the end of a day, especially.
Yeah. That's good. And good self-awareness for you to admit that. That like, I can't meet that for you. How can we help find those outlets in other areas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Faith.
I was just going to say one thing I think that has led to your, you know, you said you are more often the one that like encourages, like you have people make the fun.
Initiate the social
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I think so I'm working at Starbucks now. And so I have lots of people time, lots of interaction, lots of, you know, all of that. So now it's kind of like tables have turned a little bit. So now when I come home, I mean, I love to hang out with friends. I love to do things, but I'm not as quick to be like, I got to go somewhere and be with people. It's like, I've been with people for 6 hours straight. I'm kind of ready for a little quiet now.
Yeah, and peopled out. That makes a lot of sense, Faith, because Elliot and I have actually, and I've always thought it was a COVID thing. I noticed for us, it was post-COVID. He initiates more of the social things and I don't, which also is the opposite of what it used to be. But yeah, I've never thought about it like that, Faith, where like I have a job where I'm interacting with people
All the
virtually, but all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And his is less that way. And so he probably yearns for that more than when I'm like, I would love to sit in my bed and just watch a Netflix show right now. Which like, if you had asked me 12 years ago, I'd be like, what? Who is that person?
Yeah.
So that's interesting how your work life can impact that dynamic of you guys relationally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's transition to parenting while pastoring. So later on in this season, you're actually going, if you're a listener, you're actually going to be able to hear an episode where Tim interviews his 4 kiddos. So this episode's coming before that one. But yeah, you guys raised 4 kids during decades of ministry. So I'm curious, like, how did it shift for you from Heather, who's the oldest? So the kids range from 24 to 32 right now. You guys had Heather how many years into your marriage? Oh, I guess 3 years because she's 32.
Yeah. And she was about almost 3, I think, when we started at Granger.
Yeah. So how did that change from like Heather being the first to 4 later, you know, who's 24 now? I'm curious, anything you want to share about parenting and
How did our parenting change over the time?
in your marriage? I guess more like
in our
your
marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think reflecting on like 8 years apart between the oldest and the youngest. And so people could say, oh, you had the same parent. It's like, actually, no, because you just learn every kid you have and you just get older, you just learn so much. But I do think we didn't suck as parents, even with our first, because we had just some great education. We went through stuff together, some training together, kind of got on the same page about parenting before we were married and after we were married. And so I think we got some pretty good grounding and started off well. Like I remember one key learning we had that we just hung on to and just practiced for till now was basically say yes as often as you can to your kids. And you just think about parents are there to kind of the rules and tell you everything you can't do. It's like, just always look for the yes, always look for the yes, always try to find the yes. And I think we also learned like to ask questions. You know, we've talked a bit about being curious, but I want to stay out late with my friends tonight. I want to stay out till 11:30. It's instead of like, no, yes or no, it's, well, tell me more about that. You know, what are you doing? Where are you going to be? How late do you think you should stay out? What are you doing tomorrow? How much sleep do you think you need in order to be ready for that tomorrow? And just help them come to those decisions, I think helped us a lot too.
Yeah.
She was definitely running point and a much better parent with the babies and toddlers.
That was what I loved too. I mean, it was kind of my...
Yeah. And even like early elementary. And then as soon as it got interesting,
Yeah.
and we could have conversations.
Sixth grade, sixth grade.
Man, that was, I'm like, I'll be in the driver's seat. That's great. Like, so it was just fun once and even to this day, I like just love engaging with them at this stage of life.
Yeah. So what advice would you guys give for people who are out there either recently, like don't have kids, but want to have kids, or who are well into their parenting years or maybe at a really hard time, but serving in ministry? What advice would you, we could probably do a whole episode or podcast on that.
What you mentioned about having really good advice starting on, we met some people who gave us some information, a cassette tape series back in the day.
Love it.
And we listened to all of those together, and they were very, very good, just information about just principles of parenting and how to help your kids. And it's kind of a bad word nowadays, but schedule, like having your baby on a schedule and those kinds of things, and just different parenting with a funnel. You have, when they're baby, the reins are pretty tight. You're pretty protective, and then as they show responsibility, you give more freedom, and it's kind of that idea, which I think a lot of parents do it the opposite. In the beginning, they let the babies decide everything, and then as they get older, they get tighter and tighter and tighter on and that just is hard. That's a hard way to parent. But we had information like that we got to go through together and talk about, and so kind of going into having Heather, we had a game plan, which I hear a lot of people be like, yeah, we're having this baby. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
So y'all listened to that before Heather? Like, were you pregnant with Heather? Or was it even before that?
We
may have been even before we were married, but we got exposed to some of it.
But we started listening to it when we were pregnant.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
again, it's intentionality. I mean, I think that's a pattern that I'm hearing of like, just intentional and unified. Like, I mean, also, like I know very few husbands/dads that would like listen to cassette tapes on parenting. To be like, well, that's, I mean, honestly, it's like, well, that's your problem to figure out, right? As like, you know, often looking to the mom to be that person. So that's really cool. Again, that you guys were unified in that of creating a game plan together, right?
Yeah.
I think as it relates to, you know, raising kids in the pastor's home and in ministry, they're going to be on a natural spotlight pedestal. And so doing whatever you can to minimize that or remove that. And so I think things that like, you can be too concerned about, or be embarrassed by the behavior of your kids. And then that you can come down on them because really it's not about, you're not caring most about them. You're caring most about your own reputation and how you look in the eyes of other people in the church who are looking up to you. And like, if your kid's, you know, screaming in the hallway, then you must not be a good person or whatever. And so, so you can carry that, and that can like manage its way into your parenting and the way that you come down with harshness or the way that you punish or whatever. Which is just going to drive into that kid a resentment towards having to be in a pastor's home and having to be on a pedestal or having to be in a church. So I think being cautious about that. I think I wasn't a preacher, but I did have opportunities to talk and stuff. And I tell pastors who preach, there's an age, and it's probably somewhere around, I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe 7, where you should just actually never talk about your kids in a sermon until they give you permission when they're like 21 or 24. And honestly, like, it limits you because you've got all kinds of illustratable kind of things, stories that would be funny or helpful in a sermon. But that's just going to come back to, it's going to put a pressure and a spotlight on those kids, because you're going to tell the story, and, you know, 16 people are going to come out to that 9-year-old and talk about, you know, kind of be funny or whatever with the 11-year-old, or, you know, God forbid, when they're in teenage years and they really care, like when they're middle school and high school, And they're potentially going to start to resent the fact that they're the punchline of a story.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting to be a kid.
That's really good. Really good, you guys. Well, I've gotten to already watch at the time we're recording this episode, I've already gotten to watch the interview with your kids. And I texted you guys and just said, great job, you guys. Like how it must be me on the, 16 months into this parenting journey. I was just watching that. Like how cool for you to be able to, one, have that relationship with all four of them, that they would say yes to that. And then it was evident just their love for people. And when you said this, Tim, in it, that you talk about how proud of each of them and their love for people, which is good job, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, I have some questions for that we got from social media from people that I think we've kind of answered some of these, but and then we'll do the Newlywed Game. Okay, so a couple of them are just kind of more general for Tim with ministry. Let's see. Okay. Justin says, what was Tim's lowest point in ministry? And Faith, I feel like you can speak into this too, of course. And then how did you get out of it? And you guys can answer this for you as a marriage, or if you want to answer it in particular.
Lowest, interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lowest could be lowest or lowest could be hardest. Those would be two different answers. So lowest, I would say my last, or the last season I was at Granger when things got really relationally hard between me and my lead pastor, who we were best friends and vacationed together and all that. And just things like relationally, like we just couldn't figure it out. We couldn't fix it. We just were at odds with each other. Philosophically, we were just, approaching things in entirely different ways, and couldn't get past it. And that's, eventually what led me to step down from there. But that was super hard. And then knowing, I, reached out at least every 30 days, but it was 2 years before he could actually respond and have a conversation with me. And that was super hard. And then eventually we were able to, we had some great times together after that. But he just, it was just relationally hard. It was hard for him to have someone, choose to walk away.
Yeah.
So that made it difficult. That was probably lowest. Hardest was probably on the lawn at the campus at Willow.
Oh my goodness,
when,
yes.
Dave and I were
oh my goodness.
yelled at and screamed at and grilled for 2 hours straight, and we did it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, it was wild. I saw a video of that, and that was so hard, Tim. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. This is from Aaron. When have you felt most cared for as a family by your ministry's top leadership or board? That's very specific, but maybe I like the beginning part of it. Like, when have you felt most cared for as a family by your ministry team?
Yeah.
Granger did a great job at caring for our staff. And our board did that really well for the lead pastor, and then he and I did that. He did that well for us, and then I think he and I did that well for the rest of the staff. But things like, from the day we got there, I was 27. I'd never served in a church before, and he's like, you get 4 weeks of vacation, and you also get 4 weekends off. And we actually don't call this vacation. We call this health. So it's basically like, this isn't a perk because you earned it. This is like, we want you healthy. And so things like that, they would contribute money for Faith and I to do stuff together, date nights, all that kind of stuff, just unexpected stuff to really help us be better together and better with our kids.
When Tim would go to John Maxwell conferences or different things, they would pay for me to come along because they wanted us to experience that together as a couple.
Awesome.
Not just him learning, because Mark would say all the time, if one person in the marriage is learning and the other person gets left behind, you're not.
Education is alienation.
So he always, and even back then was hard because we had babies, and that meant I had to find a babysitter and all the things. But he was very much like, we want you with the team, and if you can come with Tim for these conferences, then we want you there. And I loved that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
They helped us build our first house, and people in the church, that was a whole thing too of just
we did an Amish barn raising at the Stevens.
Amazing.
It was cool.
I love it. Okay, Alan says, if the today version of Tim and Faith could go back in time to 35 years ago, Tim and Faith, or 20 years ago, Tim and Faith, what would you tell them to not do that they did, okay, and to do that they didn't?
Sounds like a triple negative in there somewhere.
Yeah. So what do you guys wish you would have done that you didn't do? And what's one of the things that you wish you didn't do that you actually did?
That's a hard question.
It's probably hard for you guys because you're so intentional that it's like hard for me to imagine you guys.
Yes, we were perfect.
Yeah,
So
you're perfect.
how can you improve on
Definitely
perfection?
we're not perfect.
That's what I'm hearing.
I don't know how to.
I mean, what comes to mind, which doesn't answer the question, is just like tell yourself to lighten up. Like, just, you think what, you have an argument and then you think it's the end of your marriage. It's like, no, like we're just having we see things differently. It's okay. Lighten up.
Yeah.
Like, I think we didn't do any kind of counseling together until we were in Texas.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like we missed it, but I also feel like we probably could have done it. Like it would have been.
I feel like that's such a natural part of people's, like people do that, just like you go to the gym.
It was a little bit
it's
more
more accepted now.
It
People
wasn't
talk about it
yeah.
more, but I feel like that's only been in the last 10 years that it's like a normal thing to do.
30 years ago, you went to counseling if you were like in trouble.
Right.
Like,
Yes. Well, especially coming out, because I grew up Baptist like you guys. It was like, you're not right with God.
Right.
If you, that was the perspective of kind of me growing up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you go to counseling, which that's not true at all.
Yeah. I do think that would probably have been a really good thing for us, a good, healthy thing to build in from the beginning. It's just a weekly or monthly or whatever, just, that rhythm. Like I said, just like you're eating healthy, you're going to the gym, you're, going to counseling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Steven says, what is one thing that still shocks you the most about both ministry and marriage?
I think what shocks me about ministry is just how mean Christians can be sometimes. Like going back to that night on the lawn you were talking about. I'm always surprised, like in churches or different things where it's like, you follow Jesus. Like you're supposed to be a good example to the world of what love should look like. And you're acting like this.
Yeah.
I think that always surprises me. And I think one of the things I've appreciated about our relationship from the beginning, he has always kind of protected me from, like when he was on staff at a church, like some of the people and things that have happened. I want to know, like, how did your day go? How did that meeting go? And while I want to know, he knows that because of who I am, it's better for me not to know sometimes because I go to church with those people. Those are family. And so, but it just has always surprised me, I think, how the people that should be the most loving, the most kind, the most generous, and they are a lot, but then also can be the meanest. Yeah.
That's really good, Faith. Another question was from Jonathan, what concerns Tim about where the church is today and what encourages him about where it's at? But I was wondering, Tim, if one of the concerns would be how mean Christians can be, like what Faith was saying. I don't know. Sorry, I just threw like 3 more questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to honor our social media audience. But yeah, the original question was, what is one thing that still shocks you the most about both marriage and ministry?
Yeah, I'll stick with what she said.
That was a good one, Faith.
Yeah.
That was so true. And then what concerns Tim you about where the church is today and what encourages you about where it's at? And Faith, you can answer that too.
Well, if the church means the people, is just the polarization is concerning, and the fact that it's gotten so not just polarized but political, and so I hate it that certain political parties are considered the evangelical or the Christian party kind of things, and then those people and those parties at the extreme edges don't exhibit what Jesus called us to be and do, and that's sad and disappointing. Was there a part B to that question?
What encourages you the most?
I do think there's a rising voice of people that get that, and that are like a rising, churches and leaders and Christians that stand up and say that's not going to be how we're marked, and we're not going to let them paint us into a box or into a corner, and that can have super civil conversations about issues of the day that they disagree with, but can have really informed, educated, civil, polite, seeking to understand kind of conversations.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave it with one question and then the Newlywed Game. I know this is long, but I could listen to you guys forever. Okay, so
sweet.
Nate says, what season of ministry has been the most fun for you guys separately, he said, for Tim and Faith, and why? Or it could have been the same answer. Either way. But
I would say fun. Well, the last 2 years, that's super
LeadingSmart.
front and center of my mind of just launching LeadingSmart, and that's been a ton of fun. Every day I get to do what I want to do. And I would say also early years at Granger was a lot of fun.
That's what I was going to say too. Those early years at Granger when we were learning, like I said, going to those conferences, learning, we were building, we were meeting in a movie theater for a time, the setup, just everything was like, up and to the right. Like we were, there was just a lot of energy and young families. And I felt like, that was a really, really fun. We were building something together.
Yeah.
That was really, really fun. The other time for me that was fun was when we moved back to Chicago, COVID, after being at Vanderbloemen, where I felt like he was doing his thing and I was doing mine because we weren't in a church ministry. Going back to a church ministry, I loved, and I told you this many times, we couldn't really do much, but we could meet with like couples one-on-one at different places. And so we would get together. We were meeting the people at Willow that we didn't know. And I felt like we're doing this together again. And I loved that. I loved that part of getting to know Willow and learning to love the people, learning to figure out how we could help. Like, that was really fun to me too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That makes sense. Well, thanks, you guys. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners and our viewers did as well.
You think there's any still with us?
Yeah, right? Yes.
Still here? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so let's play a few minutes of the Newlywed Game.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to, let's see. It's going to be like a lightning round, okay? It's called Still Newlyweds. I'll ask a question. Each of you will answer, like verbally answer at the same time, okay? No cheating. You can't like wait and hear what the other person says.
Okay.
And then we'll see if you say the same thing, and we'll keep points for you guys.
You can like count it down, and then we like on 3 we say the same word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Well, my first question, you kind of already answered this episode. It was who said I love you first?
Oh.
Tim.
Which, yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
I win.
Okay, here's a fun one. Ready? Okay. What is Faith's go-to coffee order?
Oh.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Flat
Brown
white.
sugar. Oh, because I did that in Europe. I was gonna say brown sugar shaken espresso.
That is so good. The Starbucks drink. Tim probably doesn't even know what that is.
yeah.
I don't.
'Cause
But
for
she
the
ordered
listeners-
flat white like 42 times in Europe last
That's
month.
because that
That's
is true.
awesome.
So
because they don't have brown sugar shaken. Yes.
All right.
And for those of you that are watching and listening, Tim does not he's not a coffee drinker.
I don't drink coffee.
No.
And Faith is like a coffee aficionado and works at Starbucks. So
That was a good answer though, because
Thanks.
I did order that a ton when we were on our trip.
Yep.
It's my drink.
okay, what is Tim most likely to be doing on a Saturday morning? What is Tim most likely to be doing on a Saturday morning?
What time of year?
Are you gonna count?
Just no additional context.
That's it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll count on to 1. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Sleeping
Pickleball.
Yes. Pickleball.
Sleeping in is what
Yeah.
Pete said. Pickleball is what Tim said. That's awesome.
Yeah. And if I'm not playing pickleball, I'm sleeping in.
Yeah.
I was gonna say during football season, it's watching game day.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All day.
Flipping on.
Okay. What is Faith most likely to be doing on a Saturday morning?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Working.
Working. Yeah. For sure.
Starbucks.
Yep.
Yep. 5 a.m. I'll be there.
No. Okay. What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done together?
Mm.
Oh wow.
And it has to be G, Tim, okay? Yeah, not
Okay,
even PG.
I was trying to figure out.
I saw the glimmer in your eyes. I knew where you were going.
I was trying to figure out how to say a G version of the R story.
Wait, say that question again. The most.
What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done together?
Oh
I'm
my
out.
goodness.
If it's G, I'm out. I'm out of this. I got nothing.
Wow. After 35 years, that's hard to like. The most spontaneous thing we've ever done
I've got
together.
one, but yeah. You got to count down for her. She's never.
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
stop.
not. I don't.
I think it was relatively spontaneous, based on our history moving. I mean, making the decision to come to Willow.
Oh, 100%.
Because we made it so fast in a COVID shutdown, and I haven't shopped for a TV that fast. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it was so
No,
fast.
anytime we do something, purchase anything, make anything, any kind of investment in
Any big
anything, it's
decision.
research is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Research
Research is more
spreadsheet
fun than the decision.
for
definitely not.
months, years
Oh, yeah.
if it needs that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the G-rated version. When
yeah. And then, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's hard. Sorry, I'm not coming up with anything that's like
No, that's
most
okay.
spontaneous. Maybe buying bikes. That was kind of spontaneous. When we moved up here,
we researched
we
it.
researched that too. Yeah, see, it's hard to even like.
So maybe this is some homework for you guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess to do something spontaneous.
I told Elliot one time, I was like, I really just want us to be more spontaneous. And he was like, great, let's put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
I would love to. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
That is awesome.
Okay. Last question. If your spouse could live anywhere, no budget or job constraints, where would they live? So I guess don't say these at the same time.
Okay.
Well, no. Sorry. Yeah. Let's go. Let's do Tim first. So both say at the same time where Tim would want to live. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do it for Faith. Okay.
Okay.
Can I have context? Can I say, will Faith be there with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ready? 3, 2. This is for Tim. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Downtown Chicago.
Nice.
In a high rise.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Looking at the water.
Okay. Faith's turn. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Exactly
Near the
where
kids.
she's at.
Yeah.
Yep. They're the kids.
Oh, that's awesome, you
Yep.
guys. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Make sure that you go to leadingsmart.com/podcast or /lessons where you can download the ebook that goes with this season, which is 40 Lessons in 40 Years. And the next episode, we're going to talk about the most important task of a leader. So stay tuned for that one on episode 4. Thank you so much, Tim and Faith.
Thanks.